Hey, Brenda.
Into the city and everyone was cheering. I love that. So you have this open air, so you don't have to worry about distance or on a bike. That's nice. Yeah, and the city has great bike trails, and you can bike all around the river. It's gorgeous. It is beautiful, especially in the middle of all this. There, as you said, more many people out there. Before we get to the miniseries that's coming out, right? Yeah. So at the Movie Wander and I'm also in the Stand, Stephen King limited series. Yeah, and it's about.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
All right, so how's the volume today? Everybody hear me better today?
Yes, you're there very well.
Awesome, good deal. Well, we tested the system actually using another computer. Turns out the microphone on my computer is not really functioning, so.
See,
Let's see, give me a second. I need to pull up some email real quick. We'll give everybody about another 3 minutes to get on. We'll get started. If you guys have any questions during this, go ahead and just type it in the chat function. I'll do my best to keep an eye on the chat function. If you do, if everybody has my number, 205-283-6003, just send me a text saying, hey, I sent you something in the chat. Now, even though if some of y'all were on Tuesday's call, even though I covered splitting a document, I know today's class is supposed to be going over splitting a document utilizing Esignature. I'll go back over splitting a document. That way it stays on the training task, and then we'll go over how to utilize Esignature. This thing is slow. Let's see who's else. All right, so it's only, let's see, Brenda, Catherine, Valeria, and who else is that on under Randy? Okay.
Me, Chris.
Let's go ahead and get this thing underway. We'll cover, like I said, I'll go back over splitting a document. Let's see if my previous transaction is still in here. I apologize for this thing running really slow. Let's see. Nope. All right. I'm going to create a transaction real quick. Oh, and for those of you that didn't quite hear from Tuesday's call, when creating the transaction, let me pull this down a little bit. We do have the MLS is now connected. So you can, if you want to, you can still create the new, put everything in if you want. You can search the MLS, as you see here. If you got the MLS number, or even part of the address, you can put that in and create the transaction from there, because the Brokermint will, what it will do is it will check the MLS for that particular address, and then it'll pop up the address so you can create the transaction from there. Wish I had a particular address in mind I could show you real quick. Let's see if I have one or not. Let's see, hold on. No. But anyway, that's like the gist of it basically is you either have the MLS number or the address, and it will fill in the information. We'll go back here into create transaction. With that MLS information, what you see in red right here, it will fill in that information just a little bit quicker for you guys. And then also too, been working on the back end, helping you guys out, fill the paperwork a little bit quicker. as to actually telling the boxes to fill in certain information like address and MLS number. So again, just kind of saving you guys a few seconds without having to click so much. So if there's anything, I try to go through all those boxes and make sure that those boxes are hopefully automatically filled. Now I can't help, get all the boxes automatically filled, but I'm trying to do what I can to, just kind of lessen you guys' time on creating a transaction. Now remember, in the end, just take your time when you're creating a transaction. Pay attention up here for the status, whether it's a listing or it's pending. If it's a buyer client, it will be a pending transaction. And if you do make the mistake that you went all the way through and created this as a listing transaction and it was a pending, you can change it. All you got to do is edit, and I'll go back over that real quick when I create this transaction. So let me create this real quick. And again, I just use TBD just because I don't have a particular address in mind. And I always like, for whatever reason, I had this is my default price to use whenever I create when I train with you guys. Don't know why, it just is. All right, so no on the principal. I always want to do a home warranty, home inspection. As I've said in the past, when you create a transaction, if none of these lead sources help you guys out any or doesn't match what you're doing, just put past client referral. It's not a big deal. Next, since this is a buyer side, Avast Realty is the buying side representation. Whenever you add yourself, again, all agents are in capital letters. Your commission plan. Also, too, when you go into create, when you add a contact, when you're creating a contact in here, if it's not in the system already, three most important things, hands up here, three most important things: first name, last name, and an email address. If you don't have an email address yet, when you're doing an e-sign, just create a fictitious email. Like for instance, just use like, if it's chris.smith@gmail.com is kind of a default. I just use Gmail as a default. When you finally get an email address, you can go back into the users and contacts and change their email. So again, first name, last name, email address is very important. All right, here's our transaction. Now, when you load in documents, if you don't have the checklist loaded yet, it's not a problem. Make sure you do add it at some point so you can tell the documents where to go. But we're going to go ahead and add it now. When this window opens up, since we're dealing with the buyer side, make sure, and if you guys mess up, please don't go back and create another transaction. Get in contact with us so we can help you out and erase or delete a checklist. Because trust me, you're not going to break the system if you made a mistake. It's not a big deal. So we'll add this. Like I said, I'm going to go back over splitting a document for you guys. All right, here's our, now if you're going to your email, this is where you would load your multiple page document. Can't stress enough, don't, scan single pages one at a time. So you can just put them so you can just upload them one single page at a time. Save yourself some time, do it as a multiple page document. And then when you upload it here in the documents, in the unsorted section, until you tell documents where to go, this is where they're going to go. Because it's an unsorted, you haven't told it where to go yet. Now, splitting the document, go over here to the edit button, click it, and you see split. this new window will come up and give it a little bit to load all the documents. There we are. Now, I can't stress it enough, always do. Pay special attention to the page count that you see that I'm circling right here, since it's page 1 of 28. This side. I can fit. All right. Sorry, I'm just having to make changes to my Zoom. All right, so page 1, so page contract 1. We usually know this is at least 11 pages. So you scroll down just to make sure that you don't have anything out of order. All right, and there's our last page of the contract. So pay from 1 to 11. Now, you can't split documents. You can't tell them where to go until you load the checklist, which we've got the checklist loaded. So when we start typing in sales contract, it will automatically pop up for us. So you can put it in there. This next page, that's the Alta disclosure. So that's page 12. Single page documents just go that page to that page. So page 12 to page 12 for a single page document. Or if it's 13, 14, again, it's just that single page, just use that one page. And for this example, well, this is a 2-page document, my apologies. So 12 to 13. Now, this isn't part of the checklist. So what you'll do is you create a new task on the checklist. You see out to the right where it says new with a question mark. Click on it, new checklist item. Make sure you have the right checklist. We have the sales package buyer side, and then you can name it. So in this instance, we'll call it the Alta Grid Addendum, and we'll save it. And then you'll see 12 to 13 as that new task that we just created. Now, for some reason, any reason, if you mistyped any type of, if you mistyped it, it will actually it will say unsorted. And when it splits it out of the document, it's going to put it in the unsorted section because you didn't exactly tell it where it needed to go. Okay. And I don't know if I can mess it up just to give you an example. 14 to 14. All right, you see right there, I just messed it up. It says unsorted personal. Well, there wasn't a particular part of the checklist. You didn't create anything new. So what it's going to do when it splits it out is it's going to put it in the unsorted section and it's going to call it personal. Okay. Now we can just, all you got to do is just go back. There is the miscellaneous down in the checklist. You can put it there if you want to. You can start typing out miscellaneous, or again, if you want to create another task, you specifically want to call this a personal property addendum. And if Chris could ever learn how to type, it would be great. There we go, personal property addendum. That's a new task. There it is right there, 14 to 14. Here's our net sheet. If you didn't hear me the other day, if you're, because I know this will be for an offer, there's 2 parts in the checklist. Let me hold this up because the camera's a lot higher. You got the net sheet for the offer counter, and then you have the net sheet for the final contract. If both of those are the same, you can split this one document and put it in both those checklists. I'll show you right now. So this is page 15. And you can type in net sheet. There's the offer counter offer. And we can do it again. 15 to 15 for the final contract. Everybody see that? All right. Here's our earnest money deposit. That was 16 to 16. And again, we'll start typing in. There's our copy of earnest money. Now you see I ran out of room. You look over here, you can add line. You can add multiple lines actually. You can add multiple lines if you need them. So we'll go down to 17. There's our lead-based paint disclosure. That's a single page document. This is a repair addendum. Again, single page documents, just go from that page to that page. We'll start typing in repair. This was the pre-approval. If you want to put that in there again, you can create another task on the checklist. We'll just skip it for now. Here's our recad. All right. That's our buyer agency. Now, I'm going to actually make a mistake in this and show you how to go back and correct it. So we all know this is a contract information sheet. So if you're just going through and you just kind of have a lapse of memory or whatever, something kind of distracted you and you thought, you were typing in for the buyer acknowledgement just by accident, I'm going to show you how to go back and correct it. So I'm just going to stop right here. We're going to go ahead and split everything out. Does everybody have a gist of what I'm doing as far as splitting the document? Yeah. Okay, good deal. All right. So we're just going to split it from here. And again, I made the mistake on purpose, and I'll show you how to go back and correct it. So we'll split the document. Now, when you do split documents, this whole 28-page document will not disappear. So if you need to go back and utilize it for whatever reason, you need to split this particular document out. You need to get an initial for whatever reason, it is still here for you. As you see, 28 pages is still here. Go back into our sales package. You see everything is uploaded. Now, always make sure you've done 95% of your work to get everything in a Brokermint. You still got to submit all this information so it can be checked by us on the background, by the admin crew. You can submit everything one at a time. There's the submit button. As you go down and highlight each section, you got the submit button. If you want to do that one at a time, go ahead and do that. There is a mass submit button. If you click this action button, submit for review, you see in parentheses, there's 11 documents. So you can submit everything. You're about to submit this transaction for review, confirm it. Now that apologize, you want to make sure and see pending approval. If you just have the upload, it's not going to be checked. You want to make sure everything says that you've uploaded now says pending approval. Now, let's go back and say one of these forms was rejected because it was the wrong form in the checklist. And that was the buyer's acknowledgement statement that I put in for the contract information sheet. Now, there have been plenty of questions. So, well, how do I change this? How do I, remove this contract out, this particular page out of here? If you look up here with these buttons, you got an unassigned button. All you got to do is click unassigned, and it took it out of that that form from that task. It didn't delete it, it just unassigned it. So anything unassigned, I'm gonna go back into the documents and unsorted. You'll see that buyer's acknowledgement, even though that's what we called it, or that's what the Brokermint has called it, it took it out. Nothing's going to be deleted unless you physically delete it out of Brokermint. So the unassigned just puts it in the unsorted because, again, you haven't told it where to go. It doesn't matter the name, even though it's a buyer's, even though we know it's a contract information sheet. Just highlight this. You got the assign to button here. Click it, and then you see what's left of the checklist that you can assign this form to. So since it is the contract information sheet, click here. It took it out of this unsorted section. We'll go back to the checklist. And then under buyers, where is it? Oh, sorry, it's contract information sheet, my bad. I don't know why I had a lapse of, where is it? Yeah, where'd it go? There it is. So contract information sheet, there it is right there. It's only uploaded. Make sure you submit it. All right, now we still need to put that buyer's acknowledgement statement in there. So go back into the unsorted. Here's our sales content, the full set of documents. Go back into edit and split, and you'll be able to go back in and find that buyer's acknowledgement. Now, where you left off at is where it's going to come back to. So we left off at that particular page. It doesn't reset itself. And I apologize for the slow upload time. So I'm gonna go back up here, find our buyer agency, buyer's acknowledgement. There's our, let's just go ahead and put that MLS in there. 23 to 24. I already know that's 2 pages. I'm not gonna worry about this rest, but there's our buyer's acknowledgement. So that's page 26. That's a 3-page document, so it's going to go to page 28. So page 28. Type in our box, buyer acknowledgement. If I can ever type. There we go. We'll split those 2 documents out, put them into the checklist, go back in, because you got to make sure to submit everything. There's our buyer's acknowledgement. It's uploaded. There's our MLS printout. Just go back up to the action, submit those for review, confirm it. Now, in the instance that you don't have a particular document for part of this checklist, like we'll use the referral agreement as an example. This will apply sometimes to the lead-based paint. If there's not a document that's going to be uploaded, go up to exempt. Everybody see the exempt with the question mark. Click exempt, and you're making an exemption request, and just type in a very simple reason why you're asking for that exemption. In this case, there was not a referral. So no referral, very simple. And same thing goes down here for this miscellaneous. If you don't have anything yet, just ask for the exemption. No miscellaneous. And then you'll see everything. Of course, we got the wire fraud form. It's going to ask for that exemption as well too. All right, so everybody see, making sure that everything, either you got everything pending for approval or you're asking for the exemption. So everybody see that? Thumbs up, good? I see Catherine shaking her head. I'm using you, Catherine, as the gauge for everybody understanding. So when I see you, I'm like, okay, everybody understands. All right, so that covers really quick. Even though I covered it on Tuesday, I know with the situation with my microphone issue, that's how you split a document. Now, let's go through and utilize our e-signature process. And what I'm going to do is, within this same transaction, I'm going to load another checklist, because you can only do e-signature if but 1, you got to create the transaction, and 2, you got to have a checklist to use those forms out of. You can't just go into library and try to do an e-signature from there. The forms are only there in the library for you to download and do, fill them out by hand. If you need to get a wet signature, that's only what the library is for. As far as e-signature, create the transaction, load the checklist, and then you can use the forms, okay? Now, in the instance, I said earlier, if you created this and you created it as a listing, you look up here and you see this box and it said listing. Oh no, I made a mistake. Again, not a big deal. Look at that edit button right there. Click it, switch to listing. If it was a listing, it would say switch to pending, which we're going to do right now. So switch to listing. You're about to switch this to a listing sale. So we'll confirm it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right back. But right now it says listing. So let's say you went all the way through. You went, oh no. Again, go to edit, switch to pending, and voila, you are done. See, very easy, guys. All right, so let's do an e-sign package real quick. I'm just going to use the listing package as an example, because again, it's just for an example that I'm using. Tell you what, Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. It's going to be easier. It's less documents for me to load in and mess with. All right. Same thing earlier when I was talking about when you're splitting documents. Don't do single e-signature packages. Go ahead and build the e-signature package as a multiple page document, because again, you can go back and split it just like we did earlier. So don't torture your client by sending them, in this instance where we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we got 6 documents here. Don't torture them with 6 different emails to sign. Do it as one email, multiple documents, okay? So we got the MLS residential data form is our first one. Let's just go ahead and use it. So you go over here and to the right, you see the box that says use forms. Click it. It'll ask you select the first form. And since we're dealing with the listing package, let's go ahead and just get everything out of the listing folder. So we'll go in here, we'll open up that this folder. And so get everything that you might need for this this e-signature listing package. So we'll go here and we'll check. We'll do a coming soon addendum. Here's your agency representation for your seller agency. Let's say we're not dealing with the lead-based paint on this one. This was built, this is, like a 1980s house or 1990. Here's our recad. And here's our seller net sheet. Oh, and also make sure, let's go ahead and just get the wire fraud form. All right, just for good form. All right, you got everything. You got select 5 when you scroll down to the bottom here. Now, the cool thing about Brokermint is it's asking you, hey, before you go forward and build this package out, it's asking you, hey, do you need to add another form? Did you forget something? So if you notice down here at the bottom, it says add more forms. So just in case you forgot something, it's giving you the opportunity to go ahead and add. And another cool thing is, if you want to change the order of these documents, all you have to do is grab the, where the 3, you see these 3 bars next to each sheet. Let's say you wanted the seller agency to be first. All you got to do is grab it and move it up. Let's say if you wanted your recad to be second. So you see, if you just, if you want to change that order, you can change that order. So I'm satisfied with everything now. We'll click next and it's going to build the package. Oh, now it's going to ask for a signer. Sorry about that. Now we built the system. It's got multiple signers when I filled in all the boxes. So again, if you don't need any of these, like for instance, we don't need these seller. Well, actually we do because we're dealing with a listing. This one here, that's a mistake. So just click this X here. Yes, delete the signer field. We don't need this ghost. Ghost is basically a system that we used in the past. We actually need to kind of take this out. Again, if it's not needed, just take it out. There's only one seller. And if there's any other parties that need to be added, you can go ahead and add them in there as well. So let's go ahead and build this. Now we're preparing our documents. As you can see, some of these boxes are already filled in for you, just saving you a few steps. So let's say this is, filling in for, this would be your buyer. So Mr. Chris Watson, who's our seller. I'm not going to mess with I'll just say, blah, blah, blah right now. But you get the gist of what I'm doing as far as building this up. And when you see the initials, you see AB right here. I've had the question of why is it using AB? Well, my, clients, initials are CW in this case. This is just how they built the system that's just the first 2 letters of the alphabet that they're using. So don't worry about it. I mean, it is going to be their initials. Because if you look, it says AB here. If you look up here at this, where you can add in different boxes, there's the initial box right there. It matches, okay? But since we only have one seller, you see it's kind of cocked off to the left. Well, the reason why is because if there was 2 sellers, you'd see another box here. But for whatever reason, if you just feel like you're got an ADD situation and you want to move it, it's okay. I actually can't move it. I apologize. I thought you could move it, but once it's already set, it's set. Make sure to click twice to turn the box white. That way you can fill in the information. So we'll put today's date. That's 12/3. I think it's going to have the year after. 12/03. 20, and then let's say this one's going to May, or we'll just keep it consistent. 05, 03 of 21. $500. You know, put in all your terms, cash. This was not constructed before. Box there. Now you'll notice here that there's no check boxes in this recap. We actually went back and corrected this. They know what their services are when you explain it to them, so there's really no need that the click single agent. So we were just, Randy said, hey, just take that out. So we just corrected that as far as the recap goes. So they know that the services that they're getting from you from their listing presentation. And of course, like I said earlier, on the back end, since this address was TBD, well, it automatically put in the address as TBD. Again, it's just saving you a step. I didn't realize this was a touch screen. It's weird. Okay. All right. So you see everything is as far as we built all this. It's got all the signature blocks already there for you guys. They want a coming soon rider. Let's see, they want to come in. Let's say they do it the 14th. I'm gonna appreciate you guys kind of bearing with me as we build this, just to kind of show you how everything is done. I need to add the address in there. So our listing price was 500,000. I'm not going to fill all this information out, you guys, just to give you guys an idea of the way this thing's being built. All right. Now, if you're satisfied with everything on your signing package, don't do save and close. All save and close is going to do is just save it and close it out. And that save and close is there just in case you have to go do something. You get called out real quick to do something. Save and close option is there for you to come back and redo and continue filling in the package as needed. Okay, so it's there for you so you can save it. In this instance where we're done, you click the arrow here, send for signature. And if you, the system knows if you're forgetting something, just like you saw there, it noticed the system knew I did not put Chris Watson as my seller for the signature portion. So I went through and I took out the one box that wasn't needed and put him in, put Chris Watson in as the seller to sign the documents. And so if everything looks fine, I wouldn't do a signing order, just because if you do a signing order, no one else can just, it's going to, slow down the whole process. If you want to do an additional message in here, you can. There's really no need to to change, to take this out and change it, just leave it as is. So just tell your client that you'll be expecting an email for their signing package. So now sign and send. Now as the agent, since I've got to sign something, it's probably going to build it internally so I can sign some documents. And I'll show you on the back side, excuse me, what your client would see because I use my personal email as for Chris Watson, the seller. And of course, just to get started for signing, you got right here, get started. And it's going to go through, there's required fields that you see up here. You just click it to sign. Now you can draw it in or you can just type it in. I'd rather type it in, trying to sign. And of course you have options. You can change the font. Insert it. Now, if you need to, edit it or clear it out, there's your options there. I've signed everything as far as my responsibility for the agent. I'll continue and agree. Now, I've also there's been questions, and I'll show you here in just a little bit. Because DocuSign, Loop, they're all different the way they how they track the signatures. You'll see here in a little bit that, like, say, next to the signature, or even the initials, that there won't be a date and a time. Well, the audit trail is on the back end. There's an audit trail page that Brokermint adds that I'll show you here shortly. So the way you can keep up with everybody when you send everything out, you got right here, e-signatures. So I've already signed it, and it's been sent to Chris Watson to sign. So let me go up here. This thing is slow. Sometimes it's not immediate when I do this on training sessions, so we may have to kind of refresh a few times. We'll see when Gmail comes up eventually. And tell your clients, sometimes you see here, this is my primary box. Sometimes it doesn't come in that primary box. I had to go over here in this other box to see that the document. So tell them if it doesn't immediately show up in their main email, any other boxes like check spam or anything else to look for the signature, okay? So here it is right here. Well, your client would open it up. They click it. Okay, they open up the email, they click the box for review and sign. And you're going to see the same thing. It's going to do this, the loading, like it did when I signed the agent document, when I had my agent signature. They'll get started. All right, so there's 19 required fields for your client. Oh, and also too, if your client, here's a couple of if your client is having problems, if they're trying to do it from a phone, it can be quite difficult doing it on a mobile device. Also, if they're using, depending on what they're using for their internet browser, if they're using Internet Explorer or the new Internet Explorer, for whatever reason, Brokermint and the Internet Explorer don't jive together. So there may be a problem there. As far as Google Chrome goes, it plays just fine. So if they're having a problem seeing everything, it could be one of those two things. Either they're doing mobile or there's a problem with their browser. Okay. And then if it is a problem with the browser, if they're trying to do it from their laptop or their main computer, just ask them if they wouldn't mind downloading and using Chrome. It'll make things a lot easier on them. All right. So now the client would click next. And so got click to initial. We'll type it in. There's CW there. Now you'll also see here, they can either insert, if they just insert it, it's going to insert it in the one box. Insert everywhere is going to cut down on time for them. What it's going to do is it's going to, wherever there's an initial, it's going to go ahead and insert the initial everywhere. So hopefully they see that and they insert it everywhere. They're not going to take their time. Now there's still 4 required fields since it automatically put the initials in. He'll click next, he or she. Fine with that. We'll just, he'll insert, hopefully clients will say insert everywhere, continue. Hopefully they can navigate through this for the e-sign package. Now, really cool thing, and hopefully I'll be able to show you is when you've used Transaction Desk, Dot Loop, DocuSign, when you any of those systems in the past, you've had to go through and download the final document and send it to everybody. What Brokermint does is also anybody that's part of the signing package, everybody gets a final copy. Brokermint just saves you that amount of time by sending a final copy, a final signed copy to that client or whoever else was involved. So it just saves you, again, Brokermint is just saving you the small amounts of time that you can get everything done. So, let me take it out of this. Refresh. And hopefully, and then I'll show you here too, earlier when I showed you during, the e-signatures, you want to refresh this because you can keep up how everything is in the signature process. And again, I apologize for being this being really slow. All right, I just refreshed it. Chris Watson has signed it. And what I'm actually going to show you is, I click here. It's going to basically, I'm just going to show you the audit trail is what I'm showing you. All right, so I'm going to scroll all the way down. There's our audit trail. That's just what I wanted to show you guys. It does it differently. Tells you when it was sent, when it was viewed, when it was signed. So there is your audit trail. If anybody needs it for whatever reason, it is there. It's just on the back end of all the paperwork. Okay. Now that everything is signed, we can split this document out. So what we can do is, this is how you'll do it. All right. So each of these forms need to be broken out. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to unassign it. It's going to go into the unsorted section. And because you used, in this instance, I used the residential data form, you'll notice up there it says MLS residential data form, sign, it's 10 pages. Now we're going to split it off and put everything in the respective place in the checklist. Go back to edit and split. All right, so now we just go through and do our splitting our documents. All right, so it was page. This was the listing agreement, so 1 to 4. Listing agreements. There's our recad. Single page document, page 5 to page 5. There's the coming soon addendum. I don't think it's part of the checklist, but we'll make sure. I don't think it is. Nope. I'll create it as a new part of the task. Coming soon addendum. There's our net sheet. Page 8 to page 8 is our wire fraud. Nope, wait a minute. That's a part of the sales package. Ooh, see, I almost made a mistake. All right, in this instance, I'm glad this is I'm glad this came up. All right, so since I put in the wire fraud form in with this listing package, there's a task on the sales package for this same wire fraud form. So if you already got that side on that end, of course, then we're doing it on this side. Remember earlier I said you can create that task. Make sure if you have 2 forms, if you're putting in 2 different places, we're putting this form in this listing checklist, make sure you're dealing with the proper checklist. So in this instance, we want to change this to the listing package and give it wire fraud form. So everybody see what I just did? Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Save that. And then again, we don't need to split the audit trail off. We'll just leave it as part of the, it's just there. Or let's say if you wanted to, let's just do 9 to 10. That way we can have the record of it. So again, make sure you're dealing with the right checklist. And we'll split this out. And again, multiple page documents still going to be there in the unsorted section for you guys if you need to use it again. Our sheets are uploaded. Of course, we don't have an MLS printout yet. We'll ask for the exemption. Like I said, just give a simple reason when you're asking for an exemption. No lead-based paint. After, okay. Or if it's like new construction, you put new construction, anything like that. So again, just keep it simple. Of course, I didn't do the residential data form. Make sure you submit everything for review because you've only done 95% of it. Can't be checked by the admins until you have it pending approval. So guys, basically that is it. Showed you how to upload the documents from an email when it's scanned, to split the documents out for a sales package. We created an e-sign package, split that out for, in this instance, we used a listing package as the example. Very easy. Just get in there and practice a little bit if you need to. Is there any questions about what I went over? Or is there maybe kind of something else that's kind of sitting on your mind? I don't mind answering that question. Nothing? Anybody? Bueller? All right, guys. Well, if y'all don't have any questions, hopefully, and this session has been recorded. Audrey will send it out to you guys so you can go back and review at your leisure. I thank you guys for taking the time and joining in on this call. And actually, I know next week I think there will be another Zoom call where I'll do a actual open-ended open forum for question and answers. So if there's anything over these next few days when you're playing around with this, anything comes up, there will be a Zoom call for question and answer session. Oh, there we go. Brokermint Q&A next Tuesday. So that was, that must be Miss Audrey that's in there. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. You guys, we're here for you to answer those questions. And you guys have a good rest of the day and a great weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Say bye, Sherman. Sherman hanging out in the background.